Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is 3 new visions. They bring a little bit of new information, but they really do a lot of confirming of other information, helping us to complete the picture of what's coming. Now, before I go on, yes, if you have an IRA or if you have a 401k, 800-200 gold, give them a call and just say, here's my situation. And let them see if they say, oh, no, you're in good shape. And they might not say you're in a good shape. But you ought to call 800-200-GOLD. Also, prophecyclub.com for water filters and books and all sorts of stuff like that. And we're still in a jam. And, normally I ask once or twice and we're out of a jam. So I don't know what's going on. But we're still in a jam. So if God's blessed you and you help us, we could really use your help right now. All right, so first of all, a little bit of a setup before we get to it so you can understand what we're talking about. 1983, Doug Metzger came and made a DVD for Prophecy Club. You can watch it at watchprophecyclub.com. He says, in this vision, I was in Bolivia at the time, when I heard the Lord say America's collapse would start financially. I'll read that again. America's collapse would start financially. And I believe I got some information to say we're at the door. So he said, in Bolivia at the time, inflation was a staggering 2,300% because they printed currency with nothing backing it, kind of like what America has been doing. The United States is doing the same thing. My friend there had bundles and bundles of Bolivia's currency, and I asked him what he does with it since it's worthless. His reply was, they use it as toilet paper when they go into the jungle. That's what Shane Warren was told back in 2010, that it would be worthless as leaves blowing in the wind. And apparently, it's here. Multipolarity. What is that? That's basically saying that we're not going to be using the dollar as the world reserve currency anymore. Multipolarity BRICS Summit kicks off tomorrow, and this was a couple of days ago. In Kazan, Russia, 36 countries are present, including 20 heads of state. De-dollarization is on everyone's mind. Now, you recall Shane Warren was told that the dollar would go down a third, and then finally worthless as leaves blowing in the wind. And the thing that started it was when Saudi Arabia starts selling oil and another currency other than the dollar, which started June 10th of this year. Now, this is from a whole other place. This is from Morgan Stanley. Look what they say. What does a multipolar economic world mean? It means groups of nations with enough influence and incentive to pursue economic strategies that, if achieved, do not substantially flow the same direction as other global power centers. It's another way of saying multipolar means going around the dollar. So this comes to us from HowToTurnRadioShow.com. Photos. Putin distributes BRICS banknote samples as BRICS Summit ends. Okay, so I have showed you this before. This is what we believe is 666, or the number of his name. Now watch this symbol. Yes, we believe it's going to look like this, and yes, these are some other pictures of how it could be, but I want you to look carefully at this BRICS currency. Do you see that swirl in there? Look at the very center. Do you see it swirling out? Okay, so the BRICS currency is actually part of Satan's kingdom. Here's the other side of it. And it's saying that we're getting rid of the dollar. The dollar used to say, or it says, in God we trust. The question is what God, of course. Let's go on with the article. The appearance of these banknotes at the official BRICS Summit is the announcing of the death knell for the United States dollar. World war is now inevitable. It's the only hope the U.S. has of retaining its global dominance, and that's the way we've held it in the past. If a nation started going around the dollar, they got war. Same thing with Gaddafi, same thing with Hussein. The BRICS currently, backed by real commodities, as opposed to fiat or worthless or plucked from air dollars, which are backed by nothing, will overtake the US dollar as the preferred or the reserve currency of this planet. No one will want dollars anymore, just like Shane Warren was told in 2010. That reality guts the U.S. control over the planet because U.S. sanctions will become meaningless. We did it to ourselves. Now let's talk about suitcase nukes, and I'm going to get into the 3 new visions. So this is from You Be Ready, 8/13/2024. Now I'm going to read these verses because they confirm what he's about to say. Isaiah 47, verse 8. Therefore, hear now this. Thou art given to pleasures, talking about America, that dwellest carelessly, that's America, that saidest in thine heart, I am and none else beside me. The way Revelation says it, I said a queen, and I'm no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, mourning, and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. I shall not sit as a widow. See, it's what America, we're too big to fall, okay? We're too powerful. Nobody could ever take us down. And it was God that raised us up, and it's God that's about to take us down. Neither shall I know the loss of children, but these 2 things shall come to thee in a moment. In one day, that's what Revelation 18 says, the loss of children, widowhood, and they shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries, and for the great abundance of thine enchantments. Now, I believe sorceries and enchantments are the movies and the music that they're using to corrupt the world. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee. Because, see, the Bible says that in Revelation 18, for her merchants were the great men of the earth, and for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. This confirms with Revelation 18. As thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Nobody could take down America. Make America great again, right? Therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it will rise, and mischief shall fall upon thee, and thou shalt not be able to put it off. And desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, in one day and 1 hour, which thou shalt not know. Behold, there shall be a stubble. Why? Because when it's talking about stubble, it is always talking about the morning star, the day of Armageddon, when Jesus returns. That's the final or the second destruction of America. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor fire to sit before it. Now, let's go to the vision. While in prayer today, he says, I received a vision where I found myself standing outside of an unknown location. I noticed what looks like snow blowing towards me in a somewhat sideways direction. I then held up my hand to try to catch some of what was blowing in the air. To my surprise, what I thought was snow did not melt in my hand. It then became clear to me this was ash coming and blowing past me. Then I said out loud, what is burning? Where is it coming from? Then I heard the words, the cities are burning. Suddenly I heard great commotion that sounded like many voices, some talking, some yelling, screaming, some crying. Into my view appeared a great company of people rushing towards me. They seemed terrified, running as fast as they could to get as far away as possible from what was burning. Now, let me back up to just a part of what Coverstone said. I saw what looked like shopping malls that had been converted into shelters and living quarters. You remember this. Like after Hurricane Katrina, people sheltered in football stadiums. The businesses in those shopping malls were all shuttered. I saw people on cots. I saw food outreaches. I saw people who were misplaced. This was not like a homeless shelter. This was like something bad had happened and people were in shelters. Suitcase nukes. I continued to see shuttered properties. I saw people in homes wearing coats. Why? Because this happens in the winter. As a matter of fact, the question is it this winter? I suspect it may be. I'll give it a 90% chance. Wearing coats and closed curtains. That has been a consistent vision, people inside their homes looking out on what's going on. When I look at the people looking out of their curtains, I see more of this dark gray snow-like stuff on the road. It wasn't white, pure snow like after the first fresh snowfall. What was it? It's called fallout. Let's go back to you be ready. As the people got closer, I was able to see that some of their clothing was burned and they smelled of fire and smoke. Some people had shoes on while most did not. Some were still dressed in pajamas. Most were running away with just the clothes on their backs and nothing in their hands. I knew that whatever had started the fire had been quick. Surprise, okay? I then noticed and saw a large city, and I saw a 4-lane highway, 2 lanes each direction, coming with people, full of people fleeing the city. Through the smoke, I could see that the city was on fire. High-rise buildings were on fire. I asked, what could cause this? Then I noticed that there was now activity on the 2 lanes heading towards the city. I saw people of various other nationalities from many other countries. They were all dressed nicely and seemed to be happily traveling along. There appeared to be a large number of people, seemingly thousands, going in the direction of the city. I asked, what city? And I heard all of them. The vision ended, and I heard the words, my son, what you are seeing is the judgment on a nation that refuses to repent. Because these people take for granted my blessings, I have given it all to people who have nothing. I said your cities will burn, and they are. I said that I would take everything away from you, and I am. Because you will not repent and turn back to me, you will now be the servants of those who despise you. Same things happened to Israel countless times through the ages. The fall of Babylon has commenced. Again, I'm giving it a 90% chance this happens this winter. And my church is still asleep. And by the way, I hope it's not this. I hope it's at least another year off. You'll be hated and hunted for my name's sake. To my remnant, your hour is almost here. Be ready in season and out. I will pour out my spirit even greater than the first. Ash will fall, but so will my glory. That's what he told me. As the judgment hits, so will my miracles. Miracles like no one has seen, going all the way back to Adam and Eve. Let's go on. I'm going to play a clip. It's a short one. Kamala Harris is at a rally. Someone hollers from the audience and says, Jesus is Lord. She says, oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. Now, here's the point. I want you to listen to the reaction of the people in the rally. They all cheer the fact that this guy is put down for saying Jesus is Lord. Then she says, you guys are at the wrong rally. The crowd erupts. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street, she says, and then the crowd erupts again. Now, the thing I'm trying to point out here is not just what Kamala says. We know she's bad. But it's the whole crowd. I know there's a side of us that wants to believe our nation is a righteous nation. A side of us that wants to believe, no. There's not that many evil people in America. But I want you to catch what the audience does. It shows you how many people think evil of Jesus and Christianity. Here it is.
With the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade, and they did as he intended. Oh, you guys are at the wrong rally. No, I think you meant to go to the smaller one down the street.
Now let's jump to the next topic. 15 cities targeted and blamed on Hamas. Now this is a while back, November 14th of 23. HalTurnerRadioShow.com again. Covert intel. Operation Catastrophe. 15 U.S. cities are to be attacked and blamed on Hamas. You can read all the article if you want to, but let's go on. Now let's jump to a dream Elizabeth Murray back in 21. In this dream, I was at a mountain resort and felt what I thought was like an earthquake as my bed rattled. Then the scene changed to the next morning. I went down to the lobby and crowds of people were standing around. I asked people if they felt the earthquake, but no one did or even cared. Then a receptionist called me over to the front desk and whispered, "There was an attack on the city from inside the United States." Suitcase news. I realized it was an explosion, not an earthquake. Out of my mouth I said there would be 7 more attacks. The scene changed to later in the day. But this time word had gotten out about the attack at the city. People were panicking, running to their cars, but the electronically locked doors would not open on some, and none of the cars would start. I say again, and none of the cars would start. Why? Because an EMP blast from the suitcase nukes fried all the computer chips, which is why you want to go to EMPShield.com. Get you one of these devices right here. This one goes on your car. It's very simple. They have videos show you how to do it. The red to the red side of the battery, black to the black side of the battery, and then the green to the body of the car. I put it on my car. Took me about 10 minutes. The video showed it was easy. It was easy, okay? You just peel this off, stick it someplace under the hood, and you're good to go. And if you use the promo code PROPHECY, that helps your Prophecy Club, but it gets you a $50 discount. Promo code PROPHECY, EMPShield.com. If you want your car to start, and it could be starting this winter, I don't want to think that. Electronically locked doors would not open on some, and none of the cars would start. I realized that an EMP blast had hit. I sensed it could involve many cities. It's going to probably be many cities, not necessarily just 7 or 8. Now let's talk about the internal revolution because it ties in with what the other visions I'm about to show you. 2024, red versus blue. They have set up kings, but not by me. They have made princes, and I knew it not. Then let's jump to Luke 12. Suppose you had come to give you peace on earth. I tell you, nay, but rather division. I'll let you read the rest of it. Let's go on. During prayer, I was given a vision where I suddenly found myself sitting in an area with a very busy indoor mall. There was a large seating area in the middle of this mall. It was an open area surrounded by marble petitions and planters with many plants and trees within the area. It was a very pleasant place to sit and enjoy a restful break from shopping. Much to my surprise, I found myself sitting next to the current president, as in Biden, and appeared to be in the midst of a discussion with him. He was eating ice cream cone and I was eating a sandwich. We were sitting when he slowly leaned over very close to me in the odd way that he does on occasion and whispered in my ear, "Everything's an act. It's all been planned. O is in charge." Who's O? My guess? Obama. He then sat back up, looked at me, smiled, and then continued eating his ice cream. As I thought about it, what I just heard, my attention was drawn to look more closely at the people who were walking around in the mall, and I noticed that everyone was walking together, going in one direction. All of the people on one side of the area were all sitting there, going in one direction, all dressed in red. Now, that's what he's going to say. And then going the other direction, they were all dressed in blue, whatever it was, either red or blue. Red one way, blue the other way, meaning civil war. Then the president again leaned close to me and whispered, "Civil war is coming, and the division will be complete." Now, he's calling it civil war, but Dmitry called it internal revolution. What's the difference between civil war and internal revolution? Well, my definition would be civil war would be North versus South, or red versus blue. An internal revolution would be the people against the government. Not exactly the same. He then leaned back and continued eating his ice cream while I continued eating my sandwich, and I thought about what he had just heard while watching all of the people wearing blue and red go walking by. At this time, I was noticed that everyone walking around seemed to be in good mood and enjoying their time in the mall. No one was observed to be unhappy or angry. The vision ended. Then the Lord said 3 words: brace, brace, brace. Thought it was interesting. Those same words 3 times in many of Coverstone's dreams confirms if you want to believe that God's talking, he's talking. Problem is America's just not listening. So let me remind you, Dmitri was told the fall of America will start with an internal revolution. An internal revolution is the people in a visible, arms as in bullet flying, blood falling takeover of the government. Started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. In other words, there's an internal revolution. There's new guys come in, and then the rest of the nation starts fighting against them. Now that is a civil war. So it looks like it's internal revolution leading to civil war. Okay, let's go on. You be ready, the 3rd vision. The trial of your faith being much more precious than of gold that perisheth, though it be tried by fire, might be found unto praise, honor, and glory at the appearing of Jesus Christ. Vision. Today while in prayer, I had a vision where I would suddenly find myself standing in the breakdown lane of a 4-lane highway on the far left side. I think that means that it's an exit point. I've never heard anybody call it a breakdown lane before. I observed that it was a clear day, blue skies, bright sunshine. The landscape was rolling, hillsides covered with grass and trees. I became aware that the highway was completely empty. Nothing coming or going either direction. Not a vehicle, not one, just an empty road. I was standing on a hill or an incline as I could see the large city visible in the distance, straight ahead of me. It was about 10 to 15 miles away. I didn't recognize the city skyline as being any particular city. I stood there looking at the empty road, wondering why I was there. I heard myself speak these words out loud, saying, "Where are all the vehicles?" A city that size must surely have traffic coming and going. I then heard a faint sound in the distance. The sound grew louder. I recognized it coming from me from the direction of the city. I recognized the sound as a 60s or 70s muscle car. Okay, why is it that a 60 or 70 muscle car is the only car moving? I'll tell you why. It's because they don't have electronics. They don't have computer chips. They don't need computer chips. They're what you call analog. But if you have a car with computer chips, you best have one of these on there. I'm warning you. 60s to 70s muscle car with a loud muffler. I continued looking toward the direction of the sound when suddenly a vehicle came into view, speeding directly towards me. I continued to watch and recognize the vehicle as a Plymouth Roadrunner. Now, the color and all that will skip. I then began to hear more loud sounds, but the point is they were all leaving in masses the city. Now look down the second paragraph. I noticed that these vehicles all seemed to be older vehicles that were from the 40s up to the 70s. Why? Because they didn't have computer chips. In other words, the EMP Blast didn't bother them. They were the only cars that would start. So if you want your car to start, here it is, EMPShield.com, promo code prophecy. Older vehicles from the 40s and 70s, all the way up to the 70s. The rest of people who are not in the vehicles, traveling even on bicycles, scooters, something that didn't need computer chips. See what I'm saying? I stood stunned and amazed at what I was seeing. My attention was drawn to one small car coming towards me. It was a light blue Datsun, and it has a wreck, and that's not the point here. Then a middle-aged man wearing a pale green T-shirt and jeans was walking past me. I turned to him and asked, "What's going on?" The man stopped, looking directly at me, and spoke these words and says, "The judgment of God has struck the city, and people were just falling over dead. It was in the air and water and worked very fast." Now, I told you this, I don't know, probably 20 plus years ago. I was waking up and I had a vision. I woke up into a vision. And as I looked down, I saw the airplane was about this long, but it was a full jet, like a 727. I saw stairways about this tall, and I saw people walking upstairs, getting on, and I heard a voice say, Two men will get on a plane with a virus, and before the plane can land, everyone on board will be dead. This will be the beginning of the end of public air transportation. And I said, what? And the voice rebuked me, said you weren't listening, and repeated it. Two men will get on a plane with a virus. Before the plane can land, everyone on board will be dead. This will be the beginning of the end of public air transportation. Now, what's it talking about? It's saying that there's going to be a new virus released. I say released because I don't think it's God-made. I think it's man-made. A new virus that can kill people so quickly that once they get it, they can't even land the plane. And I believe that that's what it's talking about. Here's a case where probably what the city got hit with was suitcase nukes. In addition, it also got hit with a new virus. Or maybe even the virus came out of bombs. How's it working? I don't know. But it's a good time to make sure you have Jesus in your heart. A good time to make certain that you're prepared as you possibly can be. Okay? Maybe no one can be totally prepared, but at least we should be trying. So he says, I focused on the 1,000 people walking past me, talking, crying, sobbing, most at the look of shock and despair in their eyes. I could hear many of them say, it wasn't supposed to be like this. Where are the blessings promised by all those men? You know, the pre-trib rapture. How come we hadn't got zipped out of here? Well, because it was a misunderstanding. Then heard these words spoken, brace now, for my judgments have come. If you're out and about and all of a sudden you need gasoline, you need food, and the credit cards aren't working, they aren't taking dollars, then one of the best things to have is right here. It's a prepper bar. Each one of these is a little bit bigger than a credit card. It'll fit in your purse or your billfold, and it breaks into various pieces. So you could give them part instead of maybe more silver, more gold than you need to. Carry it right in your billfold or your purse. This particular one is 5 bars. You don't necessarily need to carry 5 bars with you, but you call 844-771-1776 or prophecyclubbar.com. prophecyclubbar.com, 844-771-1776. Okay, the very best offer we have ever had of the Prophecy Club is 40 books for a gift of $100. That is How Pre-Trib Won, Tribulation Secrets in Daniel, God's Warnings to America, Miss the Mark, and The Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy. I'll explain. As I've said many times, in 2017, I memorized the book of Revelation. I got 30 revelations, 2 visions, and an audible voice. God showed me a secret door, the word first fruits, which is found in Leviticus and also Revelation, that links the feasts to the prophecies of Revelation. And perhaps for the first time, Revelation can be understood. One prophetic word said, there's a lock. I put over a word in the book of Revelation. I'm going to open it to you. It will turn many books written on the end-time message into obsolete books. That's this book. Secondly, I put together a collection of the very best prophecies from 32 years in Bible prophecy: Dimitri Duduman, Michael Boldale, Leslie Johnson, Henry Gruver, Shane Warren, Terry Bennett, Maurice Sklar, Augusto Perez, Doug Metzger, Bree Keaton, and more in God's Warnings to America. Also, how do you talk to people about the mark of the beast, especially if they worship another god? Well, simple way is give them this book. It's a quick read. Takes about 3 hours to read it. But if they'll read 2 or 3 pages, they'll probably read the book. And if they read the book, they will never take the mark of the beast. It explains both the mark of the beast and also the number of the name, and it has these pictures in the book. Finally, How Pre-Trib Won. This book explains the truth about the rapture. It gives 4 foundations for the real truth about the rapture. It also answers 25 pre-trib questions, 1 for $20, each one of these typically, but don't do that. We offer them in shrink-wrap sets. The very best deal is go to prophecyclub.com and get the entire 40-book set for $100. I didn't cover every verse in the book of Daniel, didn't need to. I just covered the verses that has to do with us end-time saints. And it's called Tribulation Secrets in Daniel, 1 for $20, 10 for $30, 20 for $50 at prophecyclub.com.